Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome back to the show. She's eating as I'm talking, and I'm going to put her on the spot. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm actually coughing. But I'm doing good, really good, because the heat wave is broken. We're having normal, almost fall weather here in LA. So I'm excited about that.
Time for Oogie Boogie Bash, huh?
Our kiddo still doesn't know, but we are taking them to Oogie Boogie Bash for their birthday, on their actual birthday. So that's going to be so much fun.
Is that in September or October? I can't remember.
Oh, it's Sunday. It's like it's like coming up right now. So wow. I'm super excited. And we've actually never been to Oogie Boogie Bash, but I've been watching some like YouTube videos to see what it's going to be like. Ordinary Adventures has like a preview out that I watched on YouTube, and it looks like it's going to be so much fun. So I can't wait to take our kiddo and have a little birthday party at an Oogie Boogie Bash.
Well, I love Halloween, so I can't wait to hear your guys' experiences on that and bring that podcast. But let's stay in California today, Chris. It's always fun to have fellow DCL and Disney fans from the West Coast, and like to welcome to the show today, Kevin and Jenica down in the NorCal region. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Steve.
Doing great.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, down in the NorCal region for Steve, but that makes my brain short circuit because you're up from me. But wow, welcome to the show. You two have done some pretty cool DCL type cruises this year.
We're very excited to get back into it after the COVID period. So
what was your DCL sort of like history? What types of cruises have you done before the pandemic and stuff like that led up to this sort of year of vacations?
So we started cruising, I want to say in 2013. My parents were avid cruisers on Regent, and they kept saying that we should take the kids on a cruise. So when they were about 5, we took them on the Dream for the first cruise. And we just did a bunch of Bahamas ones for a bit on the Dream. Then we ventured into Alaska. We did a Mexico. And then the recent ones were the Greece and the Wish and those ones. But most of them, when their kids were younger, was Bahamas, just because they liked the whole beach thing, and it was simple for them, and they like Castaway.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about Regent, but I do find that a lot of times folks from other cruise lines will be like, you have to cruise, you really should go cruise. And then people are like, I'll do it, but I like Disney, so I'm going to try Disney and see what that's like. Yeah. Or they have kids and they're like, I want to do a cruise line that I'm sure will please the kids.
Right. So my parents like Regent because they said it's horrible for kids because it's all senior citizens, right? So that's a casino, and it goes everywhere. It's a smaller fleet, but it's a lot of higher end rooms, I guess, is what they get, right? They usually have like a butler, and they like that type of service, right? So they said there's not a lot of stuff for kids to do, but if you guys are going to cruise, do something for the kids. And so that's why we thought maybe Disney is probably the best option. And we've been Disney fans since, forever. So we thought the next progression would be, let's try a cruise, let's take the kids and see if they like it. And we've just been kind of hooked since then.
Jenica, is the cruise, kind of industry shut down for a couple of years and then it starts back up. What made you and Kevin decide that you guys wanted to go to Greece as kind of a comeback cruise?
That was actually planned pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah, that was a holdover. Yeah. We actually had the Norway cruise planned. It was for my parents' 50th anniversary. The cruise just kept getting canceled. So we finally were able to do this one. And my parents, they're not really beach people.
Even though they're from Hawaii.
Yeah, because they live in Hawaii. We grew up in Hawaii, so they don't really want to go to a beach, right? So
That's
yeah,
funny.
They thought Europe would be good.
I think to kind of further answer your question, it's we want to do a cruise with Kevin's parents. And so this location and seemed like the right one for us. And it would be the first time Malia and Miley would be going to Europe as well. So we kind of wanted to kind of put that in the itinerary for them.
Well, it was definitely an exciting cruise. We had a blast on it, and it was fun to meet the both of you on it and see around the ship and on a couple different excursions and stuff like that. So it was cool to connect with you guys that way. I guess we should throw this out there. Your girls are a little bit older. How old are they?
14.
14. So how did that work as far as in your mind? Was that the first time you guys had taken them to Europe, and how did they kind of do going on a big trip like that?
I think we have different answers. I thought they would appreciate it because they said they studied Roman history in the past year. But I think a combination of the weather we had and then the crowds kind of turned them off in the sense that everything was kind of similar to them. Like, we're there thinking, oh, this is awesome. This is, 2,000 years old. This is great. And they just kind of wanted to get back to the boat and eat soft serve because they were like, it was hot and there were so many people around. And yeah, so I kind of hope they would appreciate it more. And maybe they will when they're older. But at the time, I feel like they kind of like the just being on the boat and doing ship things. But I don't know, Jenica is more of the scholar, and she might have a different view of that.
No, it's pretty similar. I mean, they were 13 at the time. And so they're just new, they're teenagers. And I was preparing myself that they would probably not appreciate the history of Europe the way that I would want them to. And so, like, as typical girl teenagers, we go to Europe, and the first thing they ask us is, where's Brandy Melville? Like, where are these stores to go shopping? And so, we did go to those, but Kevin's right. I mean, the weather was just so hot during that time of year. I think if you're not accustomed to touring and being outside for a long time, it's difficult to kind of stay excited about learning about history.
So you picked the right ship because they had the soft serve on it. And so that worked out pretty good. But I think it is tough. It was super hot. I totally agree with you on that. I don't know how people did, because we'd been to Rome the year before, or a cruise before, and it wasn't quite as hot. So spending a whole day out and about touring wasn't so bad, but I couldn't imagine being out the whole day like some people were. So when it gets that hot, maybe doing partial days, but when you only have like 1 or 2 days and you try and fit everything in, I totally get that. The one thing I found is like our kids, sometimes, you think that like they're not getting anything out of it, but like conversations, 6 months to maybe sometimes a year later, they bring something up. It's like, wow, they really, I guess we're paying attention to something, I guess. So
yeah, I'm hoping that's the case. We'll see in a few months.
Chris, any questions about Europe?
I'm probably going, well, not probably, I'll put it into the universe that I am going to Europe next year on like a massive friend cruise. And some of the things you highlighted do scare me, like the weather. I've heard consistently that it's like miserably hot in the Mediterranean in the summer, which, like, I don't know if you've ever been to Florida in the summer, but I'm like, could it possibly be worse than Florida in August? Because that's truly the worst. But maybe it is. And if it is, that scares me because I'm like, oof. But that is good to know. Also, I think I hadn't fully considered how crowded the Mediterranean and specifically those cities can be. Everyone has to get their like Leaning Tower of Pisa selfie, and everybody has to go to Pompeii, and everybody has to go do these random, specific touristy things. And of course, when you're taking kids there, you're like, I want them to have those experiences and those memories. So you end up doing the exact same touristy things as everyone else. So I could see how it might be a bit of a like overwhelming thing. Steve and I have talked about this before, but I think our hot tip for the Med is to go early or later in the season. Early in the season because it's cooler weather, and later because it's slightly less crowded. But if you go in those sweet spots, it's going to be so crowded, so hot. And that's what I'm hearing you say.
I remember you guys were talking about private tours on one of your podcasts, right? I think that would have been a good option too for us. But, we're just used to doing the Disney whatever shore excursions they have, right? So we didn't even bother looking into privates, but yeah, I would say that could be a good option for Europe too.
Yeah, Athens was kind of a sticking point. Oh my gosh, that was such a long line to get up and see the Acropolis and stuff. So that definitely,
it's so long.
Yeah, that would have been definitely. I think I throw that out to anybody who's thinking about going to Greece in the future in the summer. Maybe a private tour that gets you there faster versus the buses, because that was a really long line.
Yeah.
Well,
that's definitely a tip that we got from you, like when we spoke to you after.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, we now are gonna, any excursions, we're gonna kind of try and do some research on private tours, depending on the weather, depending on just like the season. So I think that's going to be something that we will do going forward.
And if you got 6 people, like if you get your parents with and everything like that, sometimes it ends up being a little bit cheaper, in all honesty, because when you add 6 people with the individual price of Disney and versus, either getting a taxi or doing something like that, it can actually run you cheaper. And that's us here at the DCL podcast, right, Chris? Giving you, hindsight is 2020 advice. I would have done this. Well, let's turn to the Wish. You guys, did the Med in June, and then you turn to August and get to sail on Disney Cruise Line's latest ship, the Disney Wish. Before we talk about the cruise itself, were you guys excited about the Wish, and what were you guys excited about?
Oh, totally. So I had this one booked, when it came available last year, right? So yeah, we've been waiting for this ever since we heard the news that, it was coming out. And I think we're just excited for a different experience, just to see what it was like. Yeah, just something different from the normal ships we've always been on, different dining, different shows, something kind of fresh.
I was just going to say, we were excited to see what was going to be different about the Wish versus all the other ships that we've been on.
Are you into the latest and greatest, or do you have a super nostalgic bone and you want the classic Disney experience?
I lean towards latest and greatest in general. That's why when a lot of people say they like the classic ships and nostalgia, but we started sailing on the Dream all the time. So that's kind of our quote unquote classic ship. So we're more accustomed to that type of the larger ships and newer things. Yeah. So I would say more the latest and greatest.
I'm half and half. I like the nostalgia. I kind of like knowing kind of the layout and the blueprint of the ship, knowing what we're going to be doing. So just to kind of create efficiencies and, how we're going to spend our time on the cruise.
Yeah, I found that there's a subset of Disney Cruise Line fans who hate the Wish. They think it's the worst thing Disney's ever made. They're so upset that all the changes are there and they can't find almost anything good about it. And then there's a bunch of people who love it. They think it's the best thing. They're so excited for it. And then there's a middle group of people who are there's some things I would change, but for the most part, I'm into it. But I also feel sometimes those lines fall across how much nostalgia you have for the older ships, because they really did take the experience and change it quite a bit. And that can be hard because it's a lot of change all at once, right? It's really hard to orient yourself in the Wish, because with the exception of a central atrium, everything feels so different compared to the other ships in terms of layout and size of venues, location of venues. But given your two sort of slightly similar preferences for latest and greatest, what was your first impressions of the Wish?
It was a beautiful ship, much more bright. Just everything was white, silver, gold, completely different than the more traditional ships, I thought. Just when you step into the Grand Hall, right? It's larger. Everything is just larger and brighter.
It just felt like the decor was definitely more modern compared to the older ships. And then I think you could also really sense the advancement in technology on the ship with the lights thing and
the LEDs,
the elevator. And then, of course, I'll let Kevin speak about it, but the rooms, the concierge rooms in the front of the ship.
Just different selections of different room types and things like that. And walking down the hallways, everything just felt a lot more elegant, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It is bright and airy and Everything has that sort of like sparkly polish to it.
Mm-hmm.
When we were driving up to the ship at Port Canaveral, the very first time, it was wild just to see that even like the Dopplers on the ship sparkle in the sunlight because they're so new and they're not corroded from the sea yet. So you're right. It does have really sparkly, open concept, really beautiful.
The one thing I noticed, it doesn't smell the same as the old ships. The old ships have I don't know if it's the cleaning agent they use or what it is, but it has that certain smell. Whereas this one, it smells, it's brand new, right? So that is one piece of nostalgia that I miss is the smell of the old ships.
I have no idea, but I always thought that they maybe pumped a little bit of that smell in, but maybe it's just the ship itself and the cleaning agents, like you said. But I didn't even pick up on that when we were on it. But a good point there. I don't remember it necessarily standing out, but I don't remember it also being ingrained in my head like it normally is when you step on the ships.
We were on the Fantasy in October, right after they reopened, and I asked the stateroom host if I could smell the cleaning agent because I wanted to see if that was what it was.
Was it?
But he wouldn't. He said they couldn't bring it out. Maybe it's a safety thing. But I was trying to figure out what that smell is. Like it's in the hallways and stuff. So I just thought it was a cleaning agent, but I don't know. But it's that certain smell.
That's so funny because I do think Disney knows that scents can make a memory, right? Because they pump smells into Main Street, and during the holidays, they put gingerbread smell all around those gingerbread houses at Disney World and Disneyland, and even around the gingerbread in the atrium of all the ships. Mm-hmm. So they know that smell matters. I bet you it is a smell like that they add, but that would be interesting to find out. I'm also sure that your stateroom attendant was like, smell what?
Yeah, he looked at me a little bit funny. I had to explain the cleaning, what you used to clean the hallways. I want to smell that.
Speaking of smells, I was going to ask you guys what your thoughts were on the whole discontinuation of the H2O brand.
So this is where I'm like, latest and greatest, always. But there are a couple things I'm not that way about, which is I think that having a signature scent is cool because the H2O stuff smells to me like a Disney cruise, but also it's like good. I like the way my hair feels afterwards. So I'm like, yeah, I could get used to whatever the new scent is, but is it going to be a quality product? Like, is it going to make my hair feel nice afterwards? Because swimming in the salt water, you need to have, or the kid soup, you need to have some solid conditioner. The only thing is that maybe they'll put something great there. Who knows? Also, like H2O went out of business. So I'm sure they could sell their recipes to Disney and Disney could just start making them under the Disney brand, right? Like there's no reason they can't hire some third-party warehouse to produce this stuff for them and slap a Disney label on it. In fact, it might even be cheaper to do that. So it's possible we still get it, right? We might get the exact same thing just under a Disney brand instead of under an H2O brand. And I'm like, that's fine. That makes me feel similarly okay. Also, don't forget that concierge gets Elemis.
Yes.
So that's I was going to talk about that later when we talked about rooms, but I actually asked them if they could switch it out for the H2O stuff.
I'm sure they obliged, right?
They did. They just brought in the dispensers for us instead.
Okay. That's so funny.
Well, what do you think, Jenica? Are you excited about it or disappointed about it like most people maybe?
And we are disappointed. Like we love the H2O brand. That smell like screams DCL. And so we've obviously bought some. So we have it in our own bathrooms here. And it's very nostalgic for us. And like anytime Kevin gets really mad, he just takes the bottle and he sniffs it to make it feel better.
Or you put the lotion on.
That's going to be a tough decision for a lot of Disney Cruise Line fans to make, whether they sell their stuff on eBay to pay for their next cruise here in about a year or two, or hold on to it for the smells. Well, let's talk about the rooms. What kind of rooms do you guys like to book, and what did you guys book on the Wish?
So we made the mistake of booking concierge on our first cruise ever. So we set unrealistic expectations for our kids. So since then, we've tried to book mostly concierge, depending on the price, of course, right? Like we didn't do that for the Med or for Alaska, but for this one, we booked it early enough where the concierge wasn't too bad. So we booked the 3B, I think it is, the front-facing ones on deck 11. When I had booked it, the two ones on the side, one was available, and that was all that was available. And I noticed it was the same price since it was the same category. So I just booked that one. I didn't think anything of it, but I didn't realize that that's actually the ADA one. So it's a lot bigger. It's almost like a one bedroom in a sense, where the bathroom is a full bathroom, walk-in shower, and the bedroom is kind of off on its own, right? And then there's a wall dividing it where the Murphy comes out, and then the pull down from the top comes out. So, and they also have a little table in there. So it's much larger than the actual 4 front facing ones. So that was a nice surprise when we actually got there.
Was the balcony bigger then too?
So those are the ones with no balcony, the floor to ceiling windows, but they do have these, it's almost like this flat area where you can sit by the windows.
Okay, so yeah, I got you. So it's still a forward-facing one, but it was on the side of the ship versus on the very front of the ship. Like it's still in the front of the ship, but okay.
So you're kind of right over the bridge in a sense, where you can see, like, if you kind of look over on your right, you can kind of see into the bridge windows if you really wanted to.
That's nice between you and the girls too. They've got kind of their own space over there, and then you guys have a wall in between you to have a little bit of privacy while you're in the room itself.
Yeah, it was really nice.
What did you guys think of the concierge lounge and everything, all the amenities on the Wish? I know it's a lot bigger than I think some of the other ships, and they've got windows versus the Dream and the Fantasy, where the lounge actually doesn't have any windows. What did you guys think of that?
Gosh, it is way bigger. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because it's a huge departure from the old one, right? I mean, you go in there and it's massive. Like there's all the windows on the outside by the sun deck. They've got the full kitchen now where you can get hot food. They've got the 3 coffee machines, which is very important.
Those machines are amazing, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, they've got the upstairs with the smoothies, but it also was not as personable, I thought, just because there's so much more guests that the hosts have to attend to. And granted, there's 4 hosts now versus 3, but you've got 76 rooms, right? Versus I think 44 or something. So I mean, the hosts are still very nice, very personable, and we're lucky enough to have known one of them from a previous cruise. That's kind of, I think for us, that was kind of important, because I'm not that extroverted, whereas Jenica, she'll talk to anybody. But I felt more comfortable that we actually knew someone, and that was kind of easy for me to talk to her and do that kind of thing. But yeah, Jenica, she kind of has a different experience, because she's Mrs. Aloha. She'll talk to everybody. She'll remember everybody. The hosts always remember her. Oh, Jenica. So she's very friendly.
I actually didn't have a great experience in the lounge. I thought it was too big, and to say just the service was completely different. I mean, they're still great. They provide the service that I think that everyone would expect, but just the level of intimacy and just the time you get to spend with the concierge staff is so limited. They are addressing so many people that literally, it's almost like you kind of come in. The way that the lounge is designed is like you come in from either side, and there's like the concierge stand, and they're just standing there. And then people just kind of line up, because if they have questions, you just kind of like line up. And then because there's a line, you just kind of want to ask your question and you move on. So you don't really get that. I felt like in the other ships, like it's small, you'd sit down and they'd come to you, right? They come to you, they have a seat, and they have a conversation with you, get to know your family. But yeah, there was like no time for them to do that at all.
And I don't think that's a knock on the host. I think it's just more the amount of people they have to deal with, right? It's just much larger.
I know it's a 2-story space too, because they've got the outdoor space up above with the hot tubs and the small little waiting pool or whatever it is, or a cooling pool. So Chris, do you have any questions? You guys just did a concierge episode with Christy. Do you have any thoughts or questions about it?
No, I mean, it seems to me that this is a pretty standard response for the Wish, right? That there are some nicer things in the concierge in terms of layout and just like general space. It was thoughtfully designed, but that it's less personal. And to make up for the less personal, they have interesting things like this concierge has a galley where they can like cook you hot food, which is pretty cool. That all seems to track with what we've been hearing. One thing on our concierge episode that we said, which the concierge episode hasn't come out yet, is that if it's your first time on the Wish, it's probably not worth booking concierge because there's so much to do on the rest of the ship that you won't take advantage of the concierge benefits right. in the same way. Like if you book concierge on a 3-night, you basically just want to relax in the lounge or like use the concierge services all the time. But since it's a brand new ship, you're like, well, I could go get complimentary alcohol from the concierge, or I could go in the bayou or go to the hyperspace lounge or go somewhere else. So it's an interesting conundrum on a ship that you're going to be on that's so new with so many bells and whistles. Is that how you two found that to be as well? Like you wanted to go see the stuff, but you were also like, well, we're concierge, so we should go to the lounge.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much we wanted to eat too, right? Like I didn't get to go to Donald's Cantina. We didn't even go to Marceline's because, they have different food options in the concierge lounge too than they had before. So you kind of want to try everything, and it changes day to day on the hot food menus. We did miss out a lot just because we wanted to make the most of the concierge, which is it's not a bad thing. It's just that was our choice, right? Which just means we have to go back.
Yeah. Just a note on the hot food in the galley in the concierge. We did that, but it actually takes a long time. You have to wait for it. So it's not something quick. They don't bring it out really quickly. You're kind of sitting there and waiting for it. So.
I think if this was your first time on a Disney cruise in concierge, I don't know if you'd be as critical because it's still great. It's a great experience, right? It's just we've had a different experience on the other ships, right? So we kind of know what that level of service is compared to this one. But for someone that's just going for the first time, it's probably going to be awesome, and they wouldn't have the similar take that we would.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that. And I mean, part of the biggest part from what I hear you saying too, is like what a lot of us enjoy is that intimacy of getting to know the crew members and everything like that. And when you don't have that, it's kind of a bummer. So sometimes you have to feel like you get those on the 3-night cruises, like with your dining room staff. Not that you don't get to know them. We've had some great experiences with them, but sometimes it's 3 nights and you're already gone. Whereas like, you do those 9 nights, like we were lucky to do in Greece, you really get to know them. Well, let's turn to the dining rooms themselves. You've got 3 new spaces, Worlds of Marvel, Arendelle, and 1923. Did you guys try all of them? And what were your thoughts on them?
We did try all of them. Yeah, so we listened to a lot of podcasts before going, so we kind of knew what to expect. And I think people are pretty correct. I mean, 1923, that was our first night was actually Arendelle's. And yeah, the performers, like everyone says, are amazing.
Broadway.
The Olaf animatronic is amazing. And yeah, the food I thought was pretty solid. Wasn't our favorite, but I still think it was very, very good. Or I don't know what Jenica's favorite was, but we still thought it was very, very good.
Kevin cares more about the food. I care more about the experience. And I just thought that the dining experience on the Wish was also different. Our other ships, like our dining staff, they were just so busy. And we did not get to know them like we did, like our other dining staff from the other ships. Yeah, they're great. The service is great. But again, it's like that level of intimacy and just having time to just have a conversation with them. There was hardly any. They would come, serve the food. They would ask what you need about the food. And then, they're off kind of serving the rest of their other guests. So
I think it also, just because it's new, right? I think they have to, there's no magic tricks anymore. There's no, they want those color on the tablecloths, understandably. But yeah, I think on a 3-night is a bit tough. But yeah, Arendelle's I thought the show was awesome though. The performers are great.
How about Worlds of Marvel? What did you guys think of that?
So that was my favorite because I'm kind of a Marvel nerd. My kids had just watched Miss Marvel also before that. I kind of made them watch it just so they could appreciate it a bit more. I thought the show was great. I don't know about the second and third time you might go if they're ever going to change or not, but yeah, for Marvel nerds, I think it's pretty awesome. The quantum cores and they even have the silverware that has the Avengers logo on it, and the bowls and things like that.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun story, but yeah, to your point, if you've seen it a couple of times, it'll be nice if they change it up. But I like the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp showed up. Maybe I'm giving that away. I don't know. I'm not giving that away. Am I, Chris?
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, I love the storyline there too. The food wasn't my favorite, but that was our first night too, and we had like such a big group. I'm not sure if we got the right experience there, but it sounds like 1923 was maybe along your lines as far as food wise your favorite.
I like 1923 the best, yes. And that was where our concierge lunch was on the first day too. So we got to go twice. So I thought that was, as far as food quality, that was my favorite. And then I liked all the little touches in the restaurant, right? And all the movie props, the animation cells and everything. The kids didn't really. They like Marvel, I think, the best.
Okay, I was going to ask you too what you think their favorite was.
Marvel for me was like dinner and a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially for the girls, they loved it too, right? Because the screens are always showing movie clips. And so they really enjoyed that.
Yeah, not as much exciting going on in 1923, but I'm with you. I love the history, but I'm a big history fan of the Disney company. So it's kind of cool to see all those props and the drawings and things like that. And then I thought the food was by far the best of the three that we had. And actually, you know what I liked? I don't know if we've ever sat there, but at our table, we had like a huge window where you could look out and it was still light out and watch the ocean go by. I don't think I've ever seen that. Have you, Chris?
They do have windows like that in the like Royal.
Yeah, they do, but we've never sat next to one like that. I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. That was a fun final night.
Yeah, we had early dining too, so we had the same experience where it was still lighted outside and we're by the window. So,
did you try the food on the deck?
I thought the barbecue was awesome. So it was right outside deck 11, so it's close to our room, right? So that's where I would go all the time and just get barbecue. And yeah, so I just kept bringing that back to the room in between soft serve and Mickey bars and things. But that's kind of the only one. Oh, we had the pizza. Mm-hmm. The pizza I thought was a step above what they have on the other ships.
For sure. It's better.
We did not do Donald's Cantina. Just the line was always crazy for that. And I just thought I'd rather wait in line for barbecue.
The Donald's Cantina is very much like Chipotle. Guacamole is included. And then they do have like a burger, hamburger, hot dog vibe over on the other side. Which
we missed that too.
Very similar to the other ships. But yep, I think that has been one of the consistently high rated things on the Wish. Everybody seems to think that there's a big improvement there, which is good because other cruise lines definitely probably have one up on Disney in that environment because they've got like, what is it? Carnival is like major partners with Guy Fieri. So like everything on Carnival is taking you to Flavor Town or whatever. But they have high rated barbecue and people like actually rave about that. So it's exciting to see Disney bring high rated barbecue to their ship. So, and you're right, convenience just to hop out of your room and go grab some.
Yeah. And you can smell it in the hallways, right? When you're by the elevator. So it's,
I was embarrassed because one night I was not going to get pizza, but I walked past the pizza place, and because I had gone on the media like preview cruise and I went on one of the like first sailings, the pizza people were like, "Hey, do you want a whole pizza again with arugula?" And I was like, sure. I'll do that. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's embarrassing when the pizza people know you. But I digress. I think the food in general is, to me at least, is probably better than what I've gotten on the other ships. Like we did Palo. I know you didn't do the adult dining, right?
Correct. Yeah, we wanted to try the rotational.
Yeah, which makes sense on a 3-night. It's sort of like, why would you waste one of those restaurants when they're all brand new experiences? But we have talked at length about our night at Palo in the private dining room. But that was one of the best dining experiences I've ever had. And I do love that barbecue. So I think in general, I like these restaurants. What you said about the kids and the TV screens in Marvel, it's funny because that's either like a check for or against the restaurant. It's like really hard to focus on anything in that restaurant because like every 4 seconds they're like, push the button on the table or else we're all gonna die. And you're like, okay. So it is like very distracting. Whereas Arendelle felt less distracting. It was like show and then time to be with your family and show. And I tell you, every time they sang Show Yourself, I cried both times. But the second time I was with my husband and we both looked at each other like. So I think that's my favorite of all the shows I've seen. And I've seen Rapunzel, Tiana, and now this. And of the performance-based restaurants, I would say Frozen's my favorite now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Our favorite.
So on your cruise, they did not have Aladdin yet. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. Since by the time this is released, Aladdin is regularly showing on the Wish, but on your sailing, you were able to see, or were you able to see all of the main production shows?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit about them? The first night show is called Seize the Adventure. Minnie Mouse helps Goofy figure out that he can be what he wants to be. And there's a bunch of songs. So what did you think about Seize the Adventure?
That's good. Just a cabaret type mashup of songs, I thought, with the underlying theme. It's not like my favorite ever, but it's definitely nice to see something new and fresh.
I think that makes sense. A lot of people have talked about seeing new characters in that show that you can't see on the other ships, which is cool. I think it might be the first time Moana has made an appearance in a stage show.
I believe so, yeah.
And of course, Moana and Disney Cruise Line should be hand in hand. Why don't we have a Moana show on a Disney ship? I have high hopes that that's going to be the show for the treasure.
I hope so.
And not like I have insider knowledge. It's just they showed Moana in one of the windows of the preview. And I'm like, well, what would Moana fit? And to me, the best thing that she would fit is her own stage show. Because they also showed Coco in the window for the treasure. And that to me would be a perfect dinner show. Like make Mexican food restaurants and have those Coco puppets that they've been using in the parks so well and do a whole like Day of the Dead celebration. I think it would be an amazing themed restaurant. But I digress. It makes sense. Now, on the other hand, Little Mermaid is sort of like a full-length, full story, but told in a really stylized way. So what were your thoughts about that one?
I thought that was probably our favorite. Just, with the way they do the projections on the walls now, where it makes it feel, much more realistic, just under the sea, above the sea. So I thought they did a really good job with that one.
The technology they have now is just amazing. I was watching the Obi-Wan kind of look back where they're talking with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, and they kept showing that room that they use now when they film a lot of the movies, where you think that they're like actually in a different planet, but it's not. They're in the same room and they just change the screen. And now they're kind of doing that with that projection mapping with Disney Cruise Line, and it just makes you can go anywhere with that, and it really makes the show. I think
that's definitely one of the things that we noticed on the Wish is just like this advancements in technology. Right? So I really love The Little Mermaid, not only because of kind of the advancements and just of the performance, but The Little Mermaid is probably one of my favorite all time, Disney movies. So it just nostalgia was another thing for me. So it was a great show.
Same. Are you excited for the live action?
I don't know why there's so much controversy. Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
Me too. Are you kidding? Halle Bailey looks so good as Ariel. And her voice, I literally like immediate cry when I watched that trailer, because I was like, no, this is gonna be so good. I cannot wait. But yeah, the for those of you who haven't seen it, the super light spoiler is that the show is like a bunch of people in a seaside village telling the story of the Little Mermaid. Like it has a very like storyteller sort of, everybody gathers around a treasure chest and they start putting on their costumes in front of you, which is sort of like, oh, okay, that's a different way of telling the story. But then there's also a bunch of technology mixed in there, right? Like Ursula gets on that contraption and can sort of like fly up in that one scene. So there's some pretty cool stuff. Yeah. And apparently there's a bunch of cool technology in Aladdin that on your sailing and on our sailing, none of us got to see. So I'm excited to see when someone who has seen Aladdin comes on our show, we'll ask for a more thorough review of that one. The last bit of main entertainment is the new Rockin' Pilot Party.
Say that 3 times fast.
Did you all go to it?
We did.
And what are your thoughts?
So we lost the kids. It was super crowded, right? So we just tried to get any space on the deck there. Yeah, so it was, I thought it was, we liked the old one, but I thought this was much more elevated. Just, especially for our generation with the music, right? Just the lighting, everything. Again, it comes back to technology, but just what they can do with that show now, with just the music and the lighting and the performers, it's so much better, I think. And couple that with the music, you know.
I always kind of wonder about that because that's like my generation music to kind of date myself a little bit. But I always kind of wonder if like, you know, people are going to continue to gravitate towards it, and they do. And I like the upbeat nature of it. And like you said, and it just flowing right into the fireworks too. That's a fun show.
Yeah, Steve, when they played Oogie Boogie Bugle Boy from Company B, you were so excited. You were just like, yes, my music.
I remember doing the Charleston to that. Or what is it? What did you do to that? I don't even remember.
I don't know. The box step.
Box step.
But yeah, honestly, if you were to ask me, I would count myself the opposite of a Pirates fan. I would be like, get rid of it. The theme is tired. And this show completely changed my mind. I was like, yes, this is so fun. I loved it. So I'm a convert. I'm back on the pirate bandwagon.
And especially with the way they do the fireworks now too, right? They shoot them out both ends. So it's so much, I think it fits so much better with the show. You can see it, you know, and it's so much easier to see it now. Whereas on the other ones, you got to go to one side and, you know, at least now I think more people can see the fireworks the way they have it set up.
Let's kind of stick around the rest of the ship then. We talked about, you know, dining, your stateroom, and the main shows. What were some of your favorite places that you found on this ship? So many different places, kind of hard to find it because they're in different spots. But did you have a favorite lounge? Did you have a favorite place on the pool deck? Did you go up there at all during the day? What were some of your favorite spaces?
You know, we did the Aquamos, of course, but we had to do it at night. The lines were really longer in the day. We didn't even get to the pools because we spent a ton of time by the basketball court or the Incredicourse, or, you know, they have that inflatable. So our kids did that. They loved it. They loved that. We just did, people watched people do that thing over and over and over again. It was hilarious.
Did you do it?
So we did not. Our kids didn't want us to do it with them.
They were embarrassed.
I'm going next time
they
for
were
sure.
Embarrassed, right? Yeah. They don't want to be seen with us.
They don't want to lose to us, I think, though.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so they just went down there and they were doing their course with other families and other kids. So, and then so we spent a ton of time in there. They played air hockey, foosball. I do think they need to get a new air hockey table.
Yeah.
we had to like troubleshoot that thing a bit we had to put it the power cord. We had to look at some of the wiring underneath.
Like flipping the puck, making sure it'll go. But it was, I mean, there was only one. There's only one.
There's only one. So I think they could fit more things up there. So yeah, we did spend a lot of time there. Did you guys look at the laundromat?
You know what? We walked by it because I think it was on our floor, or maybe it was one floor below or something like that. So I kept on seeing the entryway to it, but I've seen pictures from it and it looked amazing.
Oh, I spent like 10 minutes in that place. I didn't even do laundry. I just, because you know, on the other ships, there's like 3 or 4 different ones, right? And they're all like a narrow little space, and
you don't want to spend 10 minutes in there.
Yeah, and it's musty. Like this one, it's like they put them all in one, but it's a big, bright, similar to the rest of the ship, right? It's white, it's lighted, it's bright, it doesn't smell like dirty clothes. And people are, like, it's so much easier to get your laundry out now, whereas before you kind of had to wait there because everyone's trying to get their clothes in as soon as yours is done. So we didn't do laundry because it was a short cruise, but I kind of wanted to just because.
I kind of feel like they need to make the laundry into a speakeasy. Kind of like the barber shop. They need to have like a little speakeasy there. All of a sudden, why is everybody going into the laundry?
Yeah, that was. I'm looking forward to doing laundry next time.
How about, did you guys make it to hyperspace, or did you go to the bayou? What were your thoughts on those places?
So we did. So we went to hyperspace actually when we got on board. We just happened to walk by, and it wasn't even staffed or anything. So you could go in there, take all the pictures you want, hang out. I mean, you can't order anything, but if you want to get all your pictures and videos, I would say go on embarkation day, because there's no one in there and there's no line or anything. And then you can hear the door as much as you want. Right? Just open and close the door, and that's lost on my family because they don't care about the door sound. But I just kept opening and closing the door.
Where's Kevin? He's either in the laundry room or he's opening and closing the hyperspace door.
I spent a lot of time opening and closing the hyperspace door.
Wait, while it's closed, does it still jump to hyperspeed?
It does.
Cool. So yeah, honestly, the drinks aren't really that worth it. So why not just go? Like, in my humble review, those drinks, the bubble drinks that you can also go get at Nightingale's if you want it from there. So I would say if all you want is to get some atmosphere, that's a great tip. Hop in on the first day before you have to get those reservations.
Yeah, our kids, we had a reservation and we went, and our kids just ordered Shirley Temples. Like, they didn't even want to try anything else. So I would say go, if you're not a huge Star Wars nerd, just go on embarkation day, get all your pictures and videos, and you don't have to deal with their crowds later.
I'm a little confused because we're pretty far into this episode and you still haven't talked about the Dino District. So I'm just not sure how much time you spent over in the Dino District.
So we did not. I heard you saying how much of is like a club, and I wanted to check it out. But
I'm worried that our listeners are not going to know my tongue-in-cheekness. The truth is, I love the Dino District, but the other truth is it's not a district, and there are only two things to do there. But if there is anyone from Disney listening, we need to expand the Dino District. It needs at least half of a deck, and that's my goal. So let's keep that going.
Well, you're going to have to book the funnel suite next time then, so you can have that private.
So I can have my instant access. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's worth it just for that.
Yes. I mean, that is amazing. That there's a video, for those of you who don't know, floating around of someone who booked the funnel suite who shows that you can just literally walk out of an emergency exit into the actual club Slidosaurus Rex. Literally the door opens into the top of the slide and you could just hop on the slide and leave the funnel suite that way, which obviously is amazing. So yes. We all need to book the funnel suite.
I just have this picture of being up at Signals Bar and you've got that door open to the Dino District to Slidosaurus Rex, and it just lights and music coming through those windows up there.
Yes, we did not make it there. I'm sorry, Chris.
It's okay. You can't always do everything.
Yes, we'll have to go on again just for that.
Just for the Dino District.
We did check out Nightingale's. So we saw Michael Mastroianni, the guy that does the piano and he takes requests for Disney songs. Yeah, so that guy was awesome. We thought that was our favorite performer on the ship. And you know how they say you can't have kids? The one we went to, it said on the navigator you can't have kids, but I don't know how strict they're being, because there was a family with a baby in there in the actual place, and then our kids wanted to watch it, right? So we just stood right by the door, and they didn't care. They just let us stand there, and then because it was packed. I mean, it was standing room only. So yeah, we were able to watch it with the kids, and it's probably one of our favorite performers on all the ships that we've seen. I think he was really good. I did not try the beignets at the Bayou, unfortunately. We'll have to do that next time. But we did watch some music in the Bayou. We did the scavenger hunt in Luna.
What is that?
No, I did the scavenger hunt in Luna.
What is the scavenger hunt?
It was like a family event, a scavenger hunt, and there's like the cast members are on the stage, and then they just ask a question. So it's not a true scavenger hunt in that you're like exploring the ship, but you are answering questions to something like, bring me a pair of shades. And so you have to go and find a pair of shades and you bring it up to the cast member and show them. So that was the scavenger hunt.
Or it's like bring somebody's left shoe.
Yeah.
And so people are scrambling around to get someone's left shoe or bring someone's, certain things that people are cell phone case but she's the crazy woman that runs all over and does all that stuff where me and my kids just watch her. So
every team has a number. So when you bring the item to the stage, you show them the number and the cast member kind of marks which numbers brought one up. And that's how they tally it up for the winner at the end. But everything is contained in the Luna. You're there.
Did you win?
No, of course not.
No. I mean, because
I'm the only one that participated. They just watched me go run up there.
It seems like you have some things to talk through.
Yeah.
They were just making fun of me, trying to like find these items.
That sounds like fun. Honestly, it seems a little bit like, I can't even remember what it's called. The augmented reality game that they're about to bring to the ship.
I heard they're starting that, right?
Yeah, actually, a member of our Patreon is going on the ship, I think today.
She is.
And she messaged us saying that they got a notification in the app telling them that they get to be part of the test cruise for this new experience. But now it's going to annoy me until I know what it's called. Uncharted Adventure, Disney Uncharted Adventure, available in the app. So that is also scavenger hunt-ish. So that'll be kind of a cool new experience. We'll have to have her on so that we can learn all about this thing that none of us have gotten to do.
Yes.
But yeah, scavenger hunt sounds fun, and I hadn't heard that they did that. So I bet you Alex would be all over that, Steve.
Oh, he would totally love that. I think I've heard of that on the other ships before too. But like, because you're everything that you're getting is like in the room, right? So it's not like you said, you're not running all over the ship.
Yeah, haven't you done this on another ship?
This, I don't know.
Yeah, she likes these social things. I just watch her. And
they don't want to do there's the game where you do how do you know your partner?
She'd be great on Match Your Mate.
Match Your Mate.
But Kevin won't do it with me.
Yeah, just not with me though. She can pick somebody else.
I'll be your mate. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yay!
We'll figure it out. I love Match Your Mate. I've forced Seth into doing it, and I've yet to tell the story on the podcast. We may one day tell it for the Patreons, but it's Match Your Mate's not really a very kid-friendly game,
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Seth and kind of bonding with you, Kevin, and just sitting back and watching the two of them have a good time up there.
Yeah, Chris and Jenica can do Match Your Mate.
I know you guys didn't get off in NASA, so you spent a day on the ship. I'm guessing probably most people stayed on the ship. It was probably a pretty busy day on board. And you've been to Castaway, many times. Anything special that you guys like to do in Castaway, just as a family or as a couple?
We did the cabana again this time. So she likes to run the 5K, regardless of how hot it is. I did that once and never again. So she does that all the time. Our kids don't want to do it either. So this time we just hung out. The kids relaxed. They're at the age where they like to tan now, and they like to just lounge. Do nothing and lounge. Yeah. So that's what they did.
Yeah. No, I have like a ritual when we get to Castaway. We wherever, whether it's on the beach or whether it's at a cabana, I will go do the 5K first thing. And so I know post-pandemic, they stopped actually doing the race. So, what I learned is you just kind of sign in at the bike rentals and you can still get a medal if you complete it. However, on the Wish, they stopped giving out medals. They said you could still do it, but I don't know why. I think they said they just didn't even have any more medals there, or they weren't doing this anymore. So, but I still did it, and then usually right after that, I'll do a bike ride around the entire place too.
The rumor was that it was gone for good. And then recently someone sent us some pictures of new medals. So Steve, do you think it's back and they just were waiting on a shipment?
I think it's back. No, we've gotten some pictures of the new medals and they look really cool. It's still the rubber kind of metal. And I'll see if I can find it as we're talking here. But yeah, I think it's back. It's just probably they depleted through their old supply, and until they get the new ones out there, they're just not giving them out, unfortunately. But it's been reported, like, I know that they'd be giving them out on the Dream and I believe the Fantasy as well. So hopefully next cruise, next time you're at Castaway, you'll be able to get one. As we kind of finish up, I guess, anything that we didn't talk about that you guys wanted to talk to about on the Wish? The
only one thing that I didn't like about the Wish is that they don't have a running deck. I love the running deck so much, not just to run, but even just to walk around after dinner or on the Wish. You can still do it, but it takes you upstairs and downstairs and through the ship. But I still did it.
I agree with you 100%. I don't run as much as my wife does out on there, but I love going out there after dinner, especially as the sun's setting, and being able to walk around and, just kind of walk off dinner a little bit before you go do something that evening. And I really miss that as well.
I do hope they come out with the Art of the Theme Show tour for this boat. I kind of miss that. I think that'll be really interesting on this boat.
Yeah, they're not advertising it, but they have it. It's like adults only, and you have to sign up at guest relations or guest services. Unlike the other ships, everybody wears a little like headset and they walk around the ship talking to you in your ear, which is similar to how they do tours at Disney World.
Okay.
But I think the reason they can't advertise it is because everyone would do it. It's a brand new ship. So like, you're like, I want to know everything about this ship. So that it's just sort of like, you can sign up on your very first day at guest relations and don't be surprised if it's already full.
Okay.
I don't know if you could see this, Jenica, but it's the color.
No, that's the new one.
Yeah. And the color, you can't really tell the colors, but they're like kind of turquoise and red, and they look.
There's Mickey, because the other one was just was it a palm tree maybe?
Yeah. Castaway something.
Yeah. Once again, Mickey out there leading the charge. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what Minnie's doing.
Minnie was working hard to get Run Disney back here in Anaheim.
she was back there at D23 pushing the Run Disney, wasn't she?
Mickey was just working on medals for a canceled free race included.
Oh man, we're like a brother and sister, just going after each other all the time.
we pretend that we don't like certain characters, but it's all fun.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, so on the other ships, can you take your kids to the gym if you accompany them?
I think there's an age, and I think your daughters are fine.
Yeah,
they can even go themselves.
Okay, because this was the first time, because we checked out the gym again, and this was the first time we learned that they can actually. They told us that we could be there with them, or they could come with us. They're old enough.
I think there is a specific age. I don't remember what it is, but
I think it's 13. Because they were 13. Yeah. So they could go, but I had to be there with them.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a nice gym. I like the treadmill and everything like that, but I'm with you. I wish they had the running track.
It wasn't anything. It seems smaller than the one on the others. I can't remember the Dream or the gym did. It wasn't that. It was just kind of like one long, narrow.
Yeah, it didn't feel as light for some reason to me. I mean, they had the windows there and everything like that, but the other ones, I feel like they got bigger windows and felt more light while you're in it too. So anything else, you guys, as far as the Wish that we wanted to touch on that we missed?
I think that was it. The room service menu is different. They have a few more things on there. You can get like actual espresso drinks and smoothies and stuff now from room service.
Espresso drinks?
Yeah,
Chris?
they've got like macchiatos, espresso you can buy, yeah, all through the room service on the app.
I missed that, I guess.
Yeah, and they had like smoothies and like pressed juices and stuff. There's over further down on the menu. So, oh, how was your internet experience? Like, did you think premium was that premium?
It's not that premium, but is it better than every other ship? Hands down, yes. But no, it's still like, it's passable internet. It's weird to me that it is so hard for Disney to get this particular thing right, because other cruise lines have like blazing fast land speed internet.
Right. I was wondering because yeah, we got the premium, and I thought, well, if this is premium, I'd hate to see what basic is.
Well, what's interesting is they don't actually make premium faster. They just give you access to more on premium. So like premium allows you, I think, to use things like YouTube or Netflix or other streaming services. So it gives you access to that type of content. But basic gives you access to social media. And what I noticed is that it's not like the social media was any faster on premium. It was the same speed. It was just premium added things that you were allowed to do. So it's interesting. I agree. It's a different type of thing. Luckily, there's so much to do that you don't necessarily need, Netflix and whatever, but it is a weird product to have so clunky on a ship that was built in 2022.
A brand new ship, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, back in the day, this is probably about 10 years ago. I could go all over the country. My cell phone would work everywhere. I get great reception, except for San Jose, which I never understood. Like, I would think that like I'm in the middle of Silicon Valley here. Why does my cell phone not get service? I don't know. But now it's not like that anymore. But maybe it was just my provider at the time.
There's too many people here.
Maybe that's what it is. Well, I guess as we finish up then, thank you for coming on and sharing you guys' experiences on both the Greece cruise, on the Magic, and then also on the Wish.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we always like asking this at the end. What's next for you and your family?
We have an adults cruise with our friends out of San Diego on the Wonder in January. The kids aren't happy, but we tell them they can't come because it's school, right? Yeah. But we usually go cruising with a bunch of families, maybe 5 or 6 other families. And so we haven't seen them in a long time on the past few cruises. So the adults thought, let's get together, let's do just an adults only cruise. Don't need to worry about the kids. We'll just do a short one out of San Diego. So we'll do that. And we have another one on the Wish in July with 2 other families. So our kids are looking forward to that one because that'll be maybe 15 or 16 of us.
Oh, wow. Yeah, those are fun cruises, aren't they, Chris? When you cruise with friends.
Those are the best. The kids.
That's my favorite. Not that kids aren't cool, but friends are cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys. Oh, sorry. No, our kids because they love it because they just leave, right? We don't see them until dinner. They just go out with all their friends, and we know they'll be relatively safe, right? And they can't really go anywhere too far. So yeah, those are their favorites. Just hang out with their friends from the morning to the night. And
actually, I think they explore the ship way more when they're out with their friends. It's a better, I think, experience for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I would even consider if you don't have kids that have siblings, right? If there's just one kid,
yes,
it's not very expensive to add a 4th person to your cabin. Yeah. So you could invite along your kids' friends, and then that gives you more time without them because you don't have to entertain them the whole time.
We do that on all our Disney vacations, whether it's the cruise or Disney World or Disneyland. We always look for someone that we can take with us.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a pretty good strategy. And now Disney's even running some sales where it's like you can get the 3rd and 4th passengers for free. So
the Disney Plus, right?
Yeah. So I do think that that's a good strategy. But if you're going to do those big friend cruises, cruising is a whole nother way to vacation with friends because you can just sort of like do your own thing, but also come together and have fun and then do your own thing again. And that's like a really cool way to vacation.
It is. We love it. It's the best. Hands down, our kids will say that's the one they want with friends, but it has to be with friends.
Doesn't matter where you go as long as the friends are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not being stuck with mom and dad is makes the perfect vacation, right?
Yep.
Well, Kevin and Jenica, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you sharing your time today with us and your experiences with our listeners and everything like that. And thank you so much for being a longtime listener of our show and supporter of our podcast as well. We really do appreciate that from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best as we move into the fall. Good luck with those freshmen in high school. It's a big year for them and everything like that. Yeah. And have a great cruise in January. Look forward to maybe talking with you again after that one.
Yeah,
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Definitely. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Thanks for coming on. So glad we could connect, and excited to hear about your next adventure with your friends.
Thank you.
We'll let you know so you can do match your mate with Jenica.
We'll be on the same cruise.
All right.
All right. All the best, you guys. Have a great fall, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. I really want to thank Kevin and Jenica for coming on and sharing their experiences both in the Mediterranean on the Greece cruise on the beautiful Disney Magic, and also sailing for the first time like so many of us have done this past year and on into 2023 on the Disney Wish. As you can tell, we recorded this quite a while ago. We're still working through a lot of recordings from so many of you that have traveled on the Wish recently, and we're getting them out just as quickly as we can to share your experiences and stories and adventures with everybody else who enjoys this podcast. And speaking of the podcast, if you enjoy it and you know there are others who would enjoy it as well, we sure would appreciate it if you pass it along. That really helps others find it who are interested in cruising podcasts, Disney cruising podcasts, and just traveling podcasts in general. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each and every week ad-free. If you'd like to find out more on how to support our show through the Patreon program, you can go to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Well, we are heading into almost February now as we're moving into 2023 Disneyland, and the Disney company is starting to celebrate their 100th celebration, and things are happening down at Disneyland today for that. Look forward to seeing all of the excitement that they bring to the Disney company, and also this summer as they celebrate, Disney Cruise Line celebrates their 25th anniversary as well for a lot of the summer sailings. Well, that's going to put a wrap for this podcast. For those of you who are traveling down to Disney World for the 100th celebration, if you're heading out to Walt Disney World sailing with Disney Cruise Line or heading out on Adventures by Disney, on behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL Podcast, we want to wish you to be well, enjoy the time you spend with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.